The rain had just started to drizzle over the quiet street when Claire stepped out of her black SUV, holding tightly to the small hand of her 7-year-old daughter, Lily. The cafe's windows glowed warmly against the gray afternoon, and the scent of roasted coffee and fresh pastries drifted into the air. For most parents, a quick stop at a cafe was nothing special. For Claire, it was a calculated choice, a place with a quiet corner and minimal crowds. Lily didn't do well in noisy spaces. Lily had been born mute. Her deep brown eyes spoke volumes, but no sound ever left her lips. The doctors had called it a rare neurological condition, and Claire had accepted it as part of their lives. Truth, what she hadn't accepted was the world's inability to slow down and see her daughter for who she was. People often stared too long, or avoided her entirely. Truth, not knowing how to handle a child who couldn't speak. Claire had grown used to shielding Lily from the world's awkwardness. They entered the cafe, and as always, Lily's hand tightened around her mother's. Claire guided her to a table by the window, letting her settle into the seat. Lily pulled out her small notepad and pen, their usual way to chat while out, and began doodling a flower. Claire smiled, ordered their drinks, and tried to enjoy a rare peaceful afternoon. That peace didn't last long. Across the cafe, a man in his early 30s sat with a boy about the same age as Lily. He was dressed simply, dark jeans, a plain shirt, and had the tired but warm look of a single parent. Claire barely noticed him until she caught him glancing at their table. Her guard went up instantly. She wasn't in the mood for curious strangers, let alone someone who might say the wrong thing to her daughter. But then, something happened that made her freeze mid-sip. The man raised his hand, palm out, fingers moving with careful precision. Lily's head jerked up, eyes wide. The man wasn't waving, he was signing. "Hi. My name is Noah," his finger said in the graceful, fluid movements of American Sign Language. Claire's mouth went dry. She'd never met a stranger who spoke to her daughter like that, without hesitation, without pity, without looking at her for permission first. Noah was speaking directly to Lily, as if she were any other child in the room. Lily's face lit up in a way Claire hadn't seen in months. She fumbled for her notepad, but then set it aside, her own small hands moving in the air. "I'm Lily," she signed, shy but beaming. Claire sat frozen, her coffee cooling in her hands. Noah smiled and continued signing. "Do you like hot chocolate?" Lily nodded vigorously, glancing at her mother as if asking, "Is this real?" Claire could only nod back, still stunned. She watched as her daughter leaned forward, fully engaged in a conversation that required no spoken words, only the quiet language that was hers. A few moments later, Noah motioned for his son to join in. The boy, brown-haired, a little shy, smiled at Lily, then signed clumsily, "I'm Ben." Lily giggled silently, correcting one of his signs with a playful shake of her head. For the next 20 minutes, the cafe around them seemed to fade. Lily was animated, expressive, and alive in a way Claire rarely saw in public. She didn't just answer questions. She asked them. She laughed. She teased Ben about his messy signing, and he pretended to be offended. Claire's heart swelled and ached all at once. For years, she'd fought to make her daughter's world more accessible. Yet here was a stranger who'd stepped into it effortlessly, as if it were second nature. When Noah and Ben finally stood to leave, Noah walked over to Claire. "I hope you don't mind," he said quietly. "Truth. I noticed your daughter signing, and I didn't want her to feel alone." Claire's voice caught. "You know ASL. My sister was deaf," he said simply. "She passed a few years ago. Truth, but she taught me everything. I guess I just never stopped using it." He hesitated, then added, "It's rare to meet someone so young who signs so well." Claire blinked rapidly, trying to keep her emotions in check. "Thank you," she whispered. You have no idea what this meant to her. Noah's eyes softened. Actually, I think I do. As he left, Lily pressed herself into her mother's side, clutching her arm. Her eyes shone, her lips curved into a smile that spoke louder than words ever could. And in that moment, Claire realized that kindness didn't always come wrapped in grand gestures. Sometimes, it was as simple as speaking someone's language, especially when the rest of the world couldn't. Claire sat there long after Noah and Ben left, her mind replaying every detail of the interaction. The way Noah had looked directly at Lily when he spoke to her, never once glancing at Claire for guidance. The way Lily's hands had flown in the air with joy, faster and freer than Claire had ever seen in public. It was as though Noah had unlocked a door Claire didn't even realize had been shut. The rest of the cafe faded into background noise as she watched her daughter, who was still sketching in her notepad. Only now, the drawings were different. No more lonely flowers on empty stems. Now there were two figures, hands raised, surrounded by swirling lines of movement. Claire felt a lump rise in her throat. Do you want to learn more signs? Claire asked gently, speaking and signing at the same time. Lily nodded quickly, her face glowing. She pointed toward the door where Noah had gone and signed, "Can we see them again?" Claire hesitated. She wasn't the type to chase strangers down. But this felt different. Something in Noah's presence had shifted something in Lily. She had seen her daughter's confidence blossom in mere minutes, and she couldn't ignore that. They finished their drinks and stepped outside, the drizzle now a steady rain. Claire half expected the street to be empty, but there, under a flickering streetlight, was Noah, helping Ben zip his jacket. "Noah," she called out before she could think twice. He turned, eyebrows raised in surprise, but he smiled when he saw Lily waving enthusiastically. Claire walked over, feeling oddly nervous. I know this might be forward," she began, "but would you be open to meeting again? Maybe just so the kids can practice signing together." Noah's smile widened. "Would love that. Ben's been trying to learn ASL for a while, but without much opportunity to practice, well, let's just say he needs a patient teacher." He glanced at Lily and winked. "And I think I just found one." They exchanged numbers, and Lily hugged Ben goodbye in her own shy way. A quick squeeze before darting back to her mother's side. As they drove home, Claire kept sneaking glances at her daughter in the rearview mirror. Lily was humming softly, a tuneless hum she sometimes made when she was happy, her head leaning against the window. That night, after tucking Lily into bed, Claire sat alone in the living room, staring at her phone. She opened her messages to find a short note from Noah. "Thank you for letting me talk to Lily today. You reminded me why my sister taught me ASL in the first place. Connection matters." Claire stared at the screen for a long moment before replying. "You didn't just talk to her. You gave her something I've been trying to give her for years. A voice that doesn't need sound." The next Saturday, they met again at the same cafe. And the Saturday after that. Slowly, the quiet corners of Lily's world began to fill with movement and laughter. Noah and Ben became part of their routine, not in a forced or scheduled way, but in the natural rhythm of people who simply enjoy being around each other. One afternoon, weeks later, Claire noticed something. Lily wasn't just signing to Noah and Ben anymore. She was signing to strangers. A barista. A woman at the park who was deaf. Even to Claire when she was halfway across the kitchen. Her hands moved with confidence, her eyes bright and unafraid. And it hit Claire all over again sometimes. The most life-changing moments don't arrive with warning. They just walk into a cafe on a rainy day and decide to speak your language. It was a crisp Saturday morning when Claire pulled up to the cafe again. Lily practically bouncing in her seat. Her excitement wasn't just about seeing Ben and Noah anymore. It was about the new world she felt a part of. She had been practicing all week, even teaching Claire signs that her mother didn't know yet. When they walked inside, Noah and Ben were already at their usual table. Lily didn't hesitate. She ran to Ben, her hands moving so quickly Claire could barely keep up. "What are they talking about?" Claire asked with a small smile, sliding into the seat across from Noah. "She's telling him she baked cookies yesterday," Noah said, his eyes sparkling. "And that she saved him too, but only if he promises to share with me." Claire laughed softly, watching their children's hands fly with animated energy. "You're really good with her, you know." Noah shook his head. "She's easy to be good with. Kids like Lily, they don't hide who they are. They're honest in a way the world isn't used to." He paused for a moment, then added quietly, "It's why I miss my sister so much. She was like that too." Claire's expression softened. "Truth, you mentioned she passed." "Yeah," Noah said, his gaze drifting to the window. "She was 23. A car accident. She taught me to sign when we were kids. Said it wasn't just about talking. It was about really seeing people. She used to tell me, if you learn someone's language, you learn their soul." Claire swallowed hard at his words. "That's beautiful." Before she could say more, Lily tugged at her sleeve and signed, "Can we go to the park together?" Ben echoed the request aloud. "Sure," Noah said with a grin. "Truth, but only if you bring those cookies." The four of them walked to the nearby park, where Lily and Ben immediately ran to the swings. The wind was cool, the sun bright but gentle. Claire sat on the bench beside Noah, feeling oddly comfortable for someone she'd only known a short while. At one point, Ben and Lily started signing back and forth faster than ever, laughing without a single sound. Claire noticed other parents watching, some curious, some smiling, a few looking confused. But then something remarkable happened. One little girl walked up to Lily, tapping her on the shoulder, and began signing hello in clumsy but eager movements. Claire's jaw tightened with emotion. She glanced at Noah, whose face mirrored her own awe. "She's inspiring people," Claire whispered. "Exactly," Noah said. "That's what connection does. It ripples." They stayed until the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of gold. On the way back to their cars, Lily slipped her hand into Noah's without hesitation, her small fingers curling around his. Noah looked down in surprise, then smiled softly and gave her hand the gentlest squeeze. And in that instant, Claire realized something. Noah hadn't just become a friend to Lily. He'd become a safe place. Truth, a bridge between her world and the one that had so often misunderstood her. She didn't know where this path was leading, but for the first time in years, she felt no fear about the future, only gratitude for the strangers who become family when they choose to see you. A few months later, the little cafe where they had first met had become more than just a Saturday tradition. It was the starting point of something that had quietly grown into a bond neither of them had expected. Lily's transformation was undeniable. The once shy girl who kept her words tucked inside was now a confident little spark, initiating conversations in sign language with strangers, teaching her classmates a few words, and even helping a new student who was deaf adjust to school. Her world was no longer small. It was wide and filled with possibility. One Saturday, as they sat in their usual corner booth, Lily pulled out a folded piece of paper and handed it to Noah. He opened it to find a drawing. 4 stick figures holding hands: Lily, Claire, Noah, and Ben. Above them, in neat block letters, she had written "My, Family." Claire's breath caught. She looked at Noah, whose eyes were shining as he carefully set the drawing on the table. "I think she's trying to tell us something," he said softly. Claire smiled, her chest warm. I think she's telling us everything. That evening, after a long day of laughter at the park, shared hot chocolate, and Lily teaching Ben the sign for best friend, they all walked back toward the parking lot. The sun was setting in a wash of pink and orange, casting a soft glow over everything. Lily reached up and took Noah's hand on one side, Ben's on the other, her small fingers linking them together. Claire fell into step beside them, and for a moment, the four of them simply walked in the golden light, the air filled with the unspoken knowledge that something extraordinary had begun. It hadn't started with a grand plan or an intentional search for connection. It had started with a rainy afternoon, a stranger who chose to speak a language most didn't understand, truth, and a little girl who finally felt seen. And in that simple, quiet way, they had become exactly what they didn't know they were all searching for: home.